Good morning everybody, happy Monday. I hope you've had a lovely weekend, well rested up, spent some lovely time with your family and raring to go again for another virtual learning week. So we're going to start to look today at horizontal and vertical lines. So what are the difference between these two lines? So have a look, what's the difference? What do you think these lines are called? Have a think, have a pause the video and a chat to your parents or to yourself or to your siblings and have a think, and then we'll have a look to see what these lines are. So we have two types of lines. We have horizontal and we have vertical. Horizontal go across and vertical go up. Now, one way to remember it is if you look across the horizon or you watch the horizon come up, that means the landscape that you're watching. So this picture demonstrates what you would imagine as the horizon. So as the horizon, you'd look going across. This is the way that we can remember that it is horizontal going across, because we look across the horizon. You don't look up and down, you look across it. Whereas vertical goes up and down, so obviously this is going to be a vertical line. Another way that you can remember it is H is closer to the letter A in the alphabet, so that means it's going across. So just think of a way that you can remember it. I always remember it as a horizon, you look across it, but if you can come up with any other ideas of how to remember which one's a horizontal and which one's a vertical, that'll also work just as well. So I'd like you to draw this square on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter how big it is, it doesn't need to be particularly big, but I'd like you to draw this square. Then I'd like you to label the horizontal and the vertical lines on the square. Now you can either write it out, the word out full, or you could just put H or a V. So let's have a look. Have you got the same as mine? So have you said the ones going across at the top and the bottom, they're your horizontal lines, and the ones going down are your vertical lines? Okay, so if you have a go at drawing this one now, so it doesn't need to be too big. Now for this one, you could just label them H and V, H for horizontal, V for vertical, to show which lines are horizontal and which lines are vertical. If you pause the video now, have a go at doing that, and then we'll have a look to see if you've got the same answers that I've got. So these are the answers that I've got. Now there's lots of different ones that you could have seen here. So obviously all the ones that are going down or up are the vertical ones, and all the ones going across are the horizontal ones. So well done if you have spotted all of these correctly. So now we're going to move on to symmetry. So now we know about different types of lines, we're going to look at symmetry. Now, have you ever heard of the word symmetry before? If you have, what do you know about it already? Or if you haven't, what do you think it might mean? So symmetry is when a line is drawn, both sides of the line look the same, they reflect each other. So when you fold on this line, both sides will be the same. So if you fold a piece of paper up in half, it will look exactly the same on both sides. So just as these examples show here, you've got if you were to fold down the dotted line or across the dotted line, both sides will be exactly the same. They will be matching. Another way you can do this, if you've got a mirror, you can put a mirror on the line, and if you look at both sides of the mirror, they will both look exactly the same. So using the words horizontal and vertical, we can now have different lines of symmetry. So vertical obviously meaning lines that go up and down. So vertical lines of symmetry is when the sides look the same after drawing the line of symmetry down vertically. So you can see that from the examples, if you were to draw any of these shapes, or I put the dotted line down the middle, and if you were to fold them in half, they would be exactly the same on both sides. Or if you put a mirror on, they would look exactly the same. Horizontal lines of symmetry are a similar idea, apart from instead of the line being down the middle or down going up and down, this time it will go across. Now one thing you'll notice with both horizontal lines of symmetry and vertical lines of symmetry, the dotted lines, whichever way they go, are in the middle of that object, and this is because to make sure that they have both the sides are exactly the same size, width, shape, everything, so they're going to be exactly the same. So you can see that from the examples on here. Other lines of symmetry, we can include diagonal lines of symmetry. So it doesn't matter how you draw your lines of symmetry, they just have to be so that one side is exactly the same as the other side. So they can be diagonal. So if we look at the square, this one has got 4 lines of symmetry because it can go down the middle vertical, can go horizontal, and it can have 2 diagonal lines. The rectangle can have 2 lines of symmetry, one horizontal going across and one vertical going down. A rhombus, which is another shape, it's almost like a square but tilted on its side. This one has got 2 lines of symmetry, one horizontal and one vertical. A kite just has 1 vertical line of symmetry. A trapezium has just got 1 line of symmetry, and then some of those don't have any lines of symmetry. So you can see there that different shapes have different numbers of lines of symmetry. So what I'd like you to do is I want you to have a go at writing the alphabet. Now, then what I'd like you to do is I want you to think about if you were to draw a horizontal or a vertical line, which would look the same. So I'm going to give you an example here. So if I draw the capital letter A, obviously you're trying to get it as perfect as possible, but it doesn't matter if they're very slightly not, because as long as you get the idea of one side has to be the same. Now, if I drew my dotted line going across this way, if I folded them in half, would they look the same? No, they wouldn't. And you could even practice if you've got a mirror, a tiny little pocket mirror, you could put your mirror on, standing like that, have a look at both sides. Does it look the same? No, so it's not a line of symmetry. Let's have a look down. If we went down then, and remember when we do our lines, they have to be in the middle. If you put your mirror on or you fold it, would both sides be the same? Yes, they would. So we know that the letter A has a vertical line of symmetry. So now I'd like you to have a go at working your way through the alphabet. Remember, if you've got a mirror, use a mirror because this will help a lot to be able to see it. Or if not, you could actually try and fold it if that would make it easier as well. So go through the alphabet and see which lines have lines of symmetry. So you should have found these were the letters that you found. So A, M, T, U, V, W, Y were all vertical lines of symmetry, and B, C, D, E and K were all horizontal lines of symmetry. If you haven't, can you now see from the examples that I've given on here, can you see how both of them reflect each other? They're exactly the same. So I'd like you to have a go now at doing the worksheet that I've attached to Seesaw. So number 1 and 2 you're circling the correct line, or number 3 you're drawing the lines. Number 4 you're finding the horizontal lines, and 5 you're finding the vertical lines. Number 6 you're circling the flags which got horizontal shapes, vertical shapes, and saying whether it's true or false, and explaining why as well. Number 7, you're ticking the shapes which have got vertical lines of symmetry, and then you're going to draw these on as well. And for number 8, you're going to tick the horizontal line of symmetry and draw on the shapes where this line of symmetry is. So for 7 and 8, you're finding the horizontal and the vertical lines of symmetry, obviously reading the question carefully and drawing these on. So the answers, so for number 1, you should have circled the horizontal line, the one going across, and for number 2, vertical going down. Then for question 3, you should have drawn a 5 cm long line going horizontal, so it should have gone across using a 5 cm ruler line. Now you could have just drawn an example of a line if you didn't have a ruler. Draw a line that is not horizontal or vertical, so it should have been any sort of a diagonal, because obviously it's not horizontal and it's not vertical. And then again for C, you were drawing a 5 cm line vertical, so it should have been going straight down. For number 4, you were ticking the horizontal lines on the gate. So obviously they've actually just ticked the bulk lines, but actually you could have ticked a lot more. There were all the bottom parts of the fences that you could have ticked as well. And then for number 5, you're ticking the vertical lines of the chair. Now again, there were lots and lots you could tick on here, or you could have just ticked a few. So obviously it was only saying to tick 2 or 3, but obviously there are a lot more on there as well. Okay, for number 6, here are some flags. Circle the flags that have the horizontal stripes. So you should have picked the 2 at the top because they're going across. rather than the other two are vertical. For part B, circle the flags that have vertical stripes. So obviously it's the France flag at the bottom. And then for section C, the flag has vertical and horizontal stripes. Is the statement true or false? Well, they've said false because the stripes themselves are horizontal, rather than vertical. However, obviously there are some vertical lines, but the actual stripes are horizontal, so that one's trying to trick you there. For number 7, you had to draw on the vertical lines of symmetry and tick whether they had them or not. So obviously the top 3 had lines of symmetry, and then you've drawn your line, and on the bottom the horizontal lines of symmetry were at the bottom, so then you can see where the horizontal line is. However, some of them have more than one, but these were the easiest ones to find.